Indianapolis' #1 football podcast. Coach Mason, what's up, buddy?
I'm doing well. We are counting down the days, you and I. We are counting down the days to summer.
Oh man, it's summertime, buddy. It's time to get the fireworks ready. Make that run to Phantom Fireworks over in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. You get the good stuff, right?
Got to get enough of the safe and sane. It's time for the dumb and dangerous, my friend.
Speaking of summer, I'm teaching summer school, and that is one of Coach Dash's and mine. One of our favorite movies is Summer School.
Great movie.
As a matter of fact, I was going to tell you I was proctoring the SOL today in Cav Hall, and those guys have known I in front of me was a podium and a mic, and I really much wanted to say some of the famous lines there from
Well, I mean, my favorite line, not that, I don't know that line, but look, I ain't no English teacher. See, double negative. Love that movie.
Yeah, very, very underrated movie, I think.
Oh yeah, Mark Harmon, football player Mark Harmon, right?
Yeah,
USC?
yeah, UCLA
USC,
quarterback.
UCLA.
UCLA quarterback.
UCLA.
Do you know who directed that movie?
It was Reiner, wasn't it? Carl Reiner.
Rob Reiner.
And Carl Reiner's in it.
Yeah.
Carl Reiner's the teacher who quits in the
Yeah.
beginning of the movie.
Oh wait, no, it was Carl Reiner. I'm sorry, you're right. It was Carl Reiner.
Right. Yeah,
Rob
it's Carl
Reiner.
Reiner.
It was Carl Reiner. He was of Dick Van Dyke Show fame.
Yeah. Best friends with Mel Brooks.
Is he really?
Best friends. Mel Brooks and Carl Reiner had, they went on because he passed away last year. But they were. I saw him on Jerry Seinfeld's Comedians with Cars, and
Okay.
they have dinner together like at least once a week for the last decades.
Yeah.
Decades, at least once a week.
Yeah. That's interesting. I mean, the kind of comedy they got away with too back then, right?
Oh,
So oddly
man.
enough, it's weird. We're going on this weird tangent. I was seeing old highlights of Don Rickles on recent talk shows. I guess recently, I'm not sure that Don Rickles passed away. He probably has. Uh, but I think to myself, could you get away with the stuff that he would do back then?
Oh no.
Although he was hilarious.
He was funny as all get out.
Yeah, he was completely controlling the show. It was him. He was on Letterman with Denzel Washington was the first guest, and then Don
Oh, I
Rickles
saw
came
that. I've seen that clip.
Oh, have you seen that before? Oh, it's
Yeah, I
hilarious.
have.
Yeah,
Have you ever seen him on? He was at Reagan's inaugural ball. Did you see him just roast Reagan at the inaugural ball?
No, I did not. I've not seen that.
If you have a chance, go look at that. And,
I
and
will.
it's classic '80s. Like
Oh.
Mr. T is there, Emmanuel Lewis is there. I mean, it's classic '80s. And Rickle comes up and he just
Wait,
destroys.
Mr. T and Emmanuel Lewis were at Reagan's inauguration.
It was the '80s, man.
That
Well,
was a
Nancy
long time.
Reagan was on Different Strokes.
What's
you
that?
know? So I think Gary Coleman was there too. Remember, Nancy Reagan was on Different Strokes.
She was.
Right.
That's where she started the Just Say No campaign, right?
That's right. That's right. So
I-
it's the '80s, man. There was crossovers happening all over the place in the '80s.
How does that stuff just stick with us? That we know that
That Nancy Reagan was on Different Strokes.
Different Strokes, the Just Say No campaign.
Well, like the old saying goes, we learn the facts of life from watching the facts of life. Well, speaking of, you're talking about legends like Don Rickles and others. There's been some legendary moves made in the DMV
Yeah.
last 48 hours, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, we thought that the St. James roster was created, but apparently
Holy
it
smokes.
is still under construction.
Oh man. I mean, you talk about big guns, and we
Yeah.
got Adam Schefter of NoVA, Carl Frederick joining us here in a few minutes, and he's going to help us break all this down. But St. James, we've been talking about this for a while now, and I like all the moves they've been doing, and they're still building stuff. They're building stuff right now. They're probably in the war room right now, still trying to figure out moves, right?
Right.
But with that monstrosity of a schedule, right? You and I have been saying, they're going to war with this schedule, and I think they need a few more guns. Well, they didn't bring in a few more guns. They brought in a truckload.
Well, and we saw so we're talking about the kids that came in from Riverdale Baptist this week or last week, and those kids are really good. I mean, we saw those guys live in living color.
We did.
Yeah,
We
and I'm
really
sure
did.
Carl will talk about it, and the name escapes me, but that I couldn't get over how large that receiver was. I mean, I mean, I told you, and I think I've said this before. The guy looked like a grown man.
Yes, he did.
He looked. I mean, he had big legs. He wasn't just small, slender thing. He was obviously a man among boys. It was.
And I mean, and as you say it, and I'm kind of going down the some of the timeline here. I mean, they brought in Jeremy Davis, the big. I mean, he can play wherever he wants.
Yeah.
Left tackle, right tackle. Who knows where he's going to play over there? But they brought in Jeremy Davis from Riverdale Baptist,
Yeah.
right? And I believe that might have been you and I were just talking about this off camera. That might have been the guy that we kept calling Charles Mann that day
It was
because he was just a man among boys. He looked like Charles Mann. I mean, he's just huge. And the list goes on. I mean, you talk about, and I think it started off with the quarterback,
Cash Carter.
with Cash
What a
Carter,
name,
the quarterback.
Cash Carter.
A great name.
That's
a
a
man with the name,
great name.
Dash appreciates a man with the name Cash. All right.
Cash Carter.
Yeah. I mean,
Here we go.
the list goes on.
I think we have our first guest arriving.
Look at that. And
iPhone.
he's excited.
There he
He's
is.
excited. You son of a gun.
Yeah.
There he is. There he is.
All right.
You're underwater at first, but now you sound a little bit better now.
Oh, wow. How we doing? How I sound? I always sound good. What do you mean?
You need to talk to your boss at PrepRedzone. They need to get you a Mac. Be like, man, you got to give me a Mac.
Yeah, you're right. That and a lot of other stuff, and a bonus too. But
Yeah, definitely a bonus because I mean you're burning the midnight oil right now with this new list and this influx of Maryland. You know what it is? It's the NWO. The Maryland guys are kicking down the door
yeah,
and they're coming to the party, right? It is the NWO.
yeah. This is where the big boys play. That's what Scott Hall used to say. Kevin Nash. They would say that. That's what they're doing. That's all of Riverdale. Like half of Riverdale Baptist is. It seems like half their roster has enrolled with the St. James Academy.
Wow.
So, Carl, we've been trying to find out. I don't know. I mean, we haven't found. We can't really find anything. Do we have any idea what happened to Riverdale Baptist's football team? Because the one guy tweeted out that they're not going to have a team, and we can't find anything about anything anywhere. So I'm curious. Have you heard anything? Have you? I mean,
Guys, ever since yesterday, I've been looking for articles and stuff. I reached out to my scout connections too in Maryland too. They have like as of like 2 hours ago, talking with a couple of scouts in Maryland. They weren't under the impression that Riverdale was shutting down, just going through a mass amount of changes. So yeah, it's been bizarre, like how it just came about, and with the Twitter, a couple of their kids announced it on Twitter yesterday, but I haven't seen anything written about it or published about it online.
the reason because again, one of the kids on there said that they're going to be shutting down.
Yeah,
He did say
they're
he did
my
use the phrase "shutting down."
Yeah.
So I being the journalist with the highest of integrity that I have, I went out and reached out. I reached out to Coach Gary, right? Who I think is now the former Riverdale Baptist coach, because he doesn't say current on his thing, and it used to say that. So I reached out to him, no response. So there's that. I was thinking, okay, it's a DMV football move. You got to reach out to Mr. DMV. So I reached out to Chad Ricardo, who is Mr. DMV, and no response. So maybe Chad is making phone calls and trying to figure things out. I don't know. But right now, I did get word, though, that you're right. They are not closing down. So there is that.
Yeah. Now.
yeah. I mean, talking with you 2 hours ago. I'm sorry to cut you off, Mason. But
No,
two of the scouts from Maryland that I work with both said, they didn't think it's shutting down. It makes sense that maybe they'll do like what maybe like Virginia Academy is doing, like delaying football for a year or postponing it. But I don't know if they're shutting down. Like that's the word I'm getting.
Now, I mentioned to Coach Dash that so a couple years ago, before I left California, there was a school called Valley Christian, and they decided that they wanted to have a dominant football program. The private school decided they wanted to have a dominant football program, and they did. They won. I think they might have won a state championship in one of the divisions. I remember Division III, maybe Division IV. They won the state championship. But then now I don't know what kind of school Riverdale Baptist is, but I know at Valley Christian, eventually the administration said, you know what, we don't want to do this anymore. They didn't like the recruiting. They didn't like bringing in kids who were not, wanted to be part of the school overall. Because, when you have a private school program that's heavily recruiting, you've got to deal with a lot of kids who kind of know they're hired guns. The stories I tell all the time is the ones I heard about at St. John Bosco, where they said the kids are sometimes out of control because they're like, I know why I'm here. I'm not here because I wanted to, I wanted to be part of the high school program. I'm here because I'm really good in football, and this is why I'm here. So I do wonder, and I don't know, how Riverdale Baptist works, but I'm curious if the admin was like, we're all done doing this. We're not enjoying this. The time commitment, the money, all the things they have to deal with. So, and that's just me throwing a theory out there. I have no idea, but it's really strange. In June, these kids just start running for the hills, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's bizarre. Like how these last 24 hours have been, not in the sense like kids transferring, because you're right. There's a lot of kids that's becoming a thing too. In the East Coast, these kids are going from private school to private school. It's like, I don't want to use the word hired gun, but that's what it's coming down to a lot too. So that didn't surprise me as much. Those kids transferring, wanting to play for Coach Overton. It's just the announcement so abruptly in June. It's like Virginia Academy, I'm pretty sure announced they weren't going to have football this year back a couple months ago. So that gave kids plenty of time to find new institutions. This being right in June. So I mean, like, I know last year Riverdale had formed with like Rock Creek Academy. That's another private school in Maryland. And like a lot of those kids that come from there, they were trying to form like kind of what you're going back to, a super team. And it kind of seems like DO's trying to do that at St. James too, because they play a national schedule. Maybe I haven't talked to anyone in their staff, but I could see that. Maybe they're forming a super team at Riverdale. Those Riverdale kids.
And interesting with Coach Overton that he got these Maryland kids to not go to Good Counsel, to not go to DeMatha, to not go to Gazanga, because those are schools in their state that, although maybe they worry about having to go there and fight for a job. I mean, not that those kids are slaps, because they're not. They're all Power 5 kids.
Yeah, some of those guys aren't are going in there and getting jobs right away now. That's what I was going to say before we get into the players, and we'll get into that right now. And I know Carl's been working on that all day. I wonder, did after this news, now at first, you rewind back to what I forgot when our interview was with Do back in, I think, February, whenever it was, and when St. James first opened, and we kind of did all that, and he's been kind of diligently working, quietly at times, kind of getting things done, and now look at this, he made a huge statement, and I wonder if that kind of raised some eyebrows. Now I think if the DeMathas, the Gonzagas, some of the Powers now, the St. Francis, maybe at first they were taking these guys lightly at first.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering now if they're like, kind of like, when Drago hits, when Rocky hits Drago that one time and Drago feels it. I wonder if these guys are now going like, crap, he's making some moves over there. We got to watch out for this guy.
That could be. I mean, I'll say to that though too, if these other schools didn't know about Do yet, then they're about to. So if they were like unprepared, like Drago was, shooting up steroids, that's not going to work.
So
hey, you came here for two things today, Carl. What two things did you come for?
Every time I come on All Hitches, I always love my appearances, but it's two things: talk high school football and Dash's crappy movie jokes. That's the only two reasons.
Shots fired.
And he's all out of football takes.
So let's kind of get into it. Some of the guys, I know you've been researching them because now you have to change your rankings around a little bit because these kids are now Virginia kids out of nowhere. So let's just kind of start at the top. Cash Carter, I saw, was ranked the number one quarterback in the state of Maryland. What do you know about him? What can you tell us a little about him?
He's is as advertised. I was just looking at his tape now. He's 6'1", quick release. He can make every throw. It's crazy though. This just goes to show you, like Dash, what I was texting you about. I mean, in this 2020, he's the 2027 kid, and he's awesome. He already has a couple of offers already. He's not. I mean, in terms of like quarterbacks in this class, he's one of the top in Virginia, but not the top one. I mean, I got the kid from Oscar Smith, Lonnie Andrews is really good. Maricus Banks over at Phoebus is really good. But these are really Division I level or bust kids too that he's going to be ranked with. So he's impressive. They also have Tristan Johnson at quarterback too. He's played a lot there. He's going to be in my rankings as well. And they have 3 quarterbacks that are going to be ranked my upcoming rankings.
No,
So
you didn't mention the who really I thought was the number, in my opinion, and what do I know? But looking at the depth chart, they're number 1 going into this, but before Cash got there, all right, remember that,
right.
was the French's backup at Hayfield last year.
Right. I mean, like, I'm just getting it because, like, even that kid's a 2026 kid, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a rising sophomore, but in my opinion, I think he was the guy.
Oh, Antonio Gillen?
Yes.
You talking?
Thank you.
Oh yeah, no, he's 2028. Yeah, like he's the one that they want. When I went to the St. James's showcase, they were ranting and raving about how well he's doing, and now they have Cash Carter and Tristan Johnson, who, are just on his level. It's a super team, and that's just the quarterback position. Right.
And actually, you might be able to argue, which we'll get into here in a second, that receivers even deeper than that.
Right.
No, the receiving roster is crazy. But let's stay on quarterback for a second. So, Mason, you said you saw he was ranked number 1 in Maryland on some lists.
I saw something they have him as the best quarterback in the state of Maryland.
That's high praise.
I know it really is, and that, I mean, just goes to show you. And he's going to come and I think do great things for Do there at St. James. But it just shows you, at least in my opinion, the level of talent in Virginia.
Well, he has Virginia Tech offer. Like, he's got Power 5 offers already, doesn't he?
Well, he had a Toledo offer. I didn't see
Toledo and Syracuse.
Oh,
I believe.
okay.
Yeah. But there's kids ahead of him. Lonnie Andrews has a couple of offers. Luke, I mean, not to spoil all my rankings, but Luke Aether, kid out of Radford, has about 9 Division I offers. So he's going into a loaded group and a loaded class. But yeah, I mean, I think he was ranked. I mean, I saw different levels in terms of Carter's ranking in Maryland, but regardless, he's in the top tier of what is a really talented state in high school football for Maryland.
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll get into you're unveiling, because when are you unveiling these officially so the world can see these, Carl?
Tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Virginia's top 2027, top 300 kids. I have 300 kids ranked, plus over 100 kids on this deep watch list. It's a great, very talented group. I've been with PrepRedzone a couple years now. I've done several rankings, and this 2027 class, something else. I'll just say that in a good way.
Yeah. And you've never had to go back and alter the rankings the night before, ever, in the history of. Maybe Dio knew you were doing the rankings, nope. And he said, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to mess with Carl's rankings right
now." I wouldn't put it past him.
All right, so let's go. Let's go to receivers, Carl. Let's go to receivers, because that's right. When I saw some of the guys, I mean, the first guy, who's and I'm bringing it up here, the 6'5" kid. He was the first receiver they brought in when they named Cash as well. He was the first receiver they named.
Kelvin Taylor.
I'll see if is that him? I'll get to it in a second, I guess. I think that's correct.
Yeah.
6'5"? No. Josiah Teasley. Sorry, Josiah Teasley.
Oh, wow.
6'5". He was a 3-sport guy over there, all-state receiver. He's coming over from now. He was an interesting one because I don't, and maybe I'm wrong now, and I'm scrolling down his timeline. I think he had just transferred, if I'm not mistaken, to Riverdale Baptist, and then just in March.
Riverdale. That's what it looks like. A lot of these kids were. Yeah,
he just got there in March. So he never played at Riverdale.
I wonder if
trying to see where he came
shut
from.
Down. Give me Josiah Teasley. Is that his name?
Yes. I'm trying to see where he came.
St. James's receiver room might be the deepest out of all of them. That's no disrespect to the other position groups, but just him and Kelvin Taylor alone are pretty impressive. But don't forget about Matthew Holland, who's coming over from St. Michael's. He's already had a great career for them. He's already has a couple of offers. The Thompson twins from Westfield. But then there's Vincent Ordonez, who made the announcement a couple weeks back that instead of, because of, what is it, Sacred Heart or St. Francis dropped their program, he's going to play another year of high school football. That's a ridiculous receiver group.
No, it's absolutely wild. Just glancing at Josiah Teasley's social media, he's got at least one offer from Marshall. He probably has a ton, but the only one I'm seeing so far is Marshall. But I only scrolled back to May, so I mean, who knows?
He was playing at Quincy Orchard.
Okay, he was at Quincy Orchard. Thank you. So he never really played at Riverdale. Transferred to Riverdale in February, or March, and then now he's at St. James. 6'5". Holy smokes!
Yeah, he's big too, big and explosive, close to 200 pounds. He's 3 sports star. He was first team All State last year. So, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, these guys, they're getting they're all legit.
That's absolutely wild. So there's one. Then we get then they got Aiden Hunter, the DB. Again, another just solid player. I don't know again where, if he has any offers or where from. He probably does, because half these guys do. But it was a flurry of moves, and it was hard to kind of keep up with them. So you had that one. Then you had the one, and basically this is one you were talking about earlier, Avion Cobb. Avion Cobb, just from it looks like Tyreek Hill from what I could see.
He's incredible. He's outstanding. I think he has a couple of offers too. I just had his profile. Again, I had to ramp up my rankings when I got this whole mass exodus from Riverdale Baptist over coming into Maryland. Avion Cobb is awesome.
He was at the Under Armour camp today.
Yeah, and
that's where he spent his Sunday.
You were they quite the past say like 42 hours for St. James. They're getting all these big time kids coming in. They just won the 7-on-7. I saw that they posted that, and they have a bunch of kids at the. What did you say? It's the Under Armour.
Well, Avion Cobb was at the Under Armour event today.
Yeah, and they're all the kids they have there are representing. So Dio hasn't even played a game yet. He's already making a big splash.
Huge splash. Now, we saw them play. We saw Riverdale play one game. Mesa. It was at the. It was the game versus Dio and Hayfield, and we think Cobb was the one that you and I saw him, and he was lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he was pretty explosive. I mean, but they had a bunch of explosive players. I mean, for him to bring in those guys is huge. I mean, that's a real coup, right? To bring those kids again, to have them not go to good counsel, to have them not go to DeMatha, to have them not go to Gonzaga, but to come into here is pretty. Again, it's big news.
Well, I mean, it's like the old infomercials. But wait, there's more.
Cobb has a Delaware State offer already too for a
Delaware State
for kids that have. Yeah, they have offers going in as a junior is impressive enough. Just so you know, this 2027 group that I have 300 kids ranked, close to 60 kids that have offers already. That's how talented this group is.
Okay, the other one was Kelvin Taylor, 6'3", 175 pounds.
Yeah,
that's that other receiver they brought in from Riverdale. He's got at least. I see he's got a offer from Delaware State, and again, that's just me glancing down a quick little glance at his timeline. Could you imagine? You got the 6'5" and 6'3" receivers on the outside, and then you got Cobb at slot, and you're moving, and you're playing games with Cobb. Holy smokes!
Yeah, I mean it's ridiculous. And Matthew Holland, don't forget about Holland. Don't forget about the Thompson brothers and running back. Don't forget about D'Angelo Duarte if he is actually transferring there. I know he announced it too, but I wonder if he. No, I'm just speculating here. I shouldn't do that, but you guys saw Duarte play last year in Northern Virginia. You know he can play.
Yeah, he was part of that big turnaround at AC. I mean, it was pretty. I mean, he was the catalyst that got that turned their season around.
Oh, he's over there. I mean, looking at his social media, he's got a lot of posts.
He's done. He's a highly ranked kid too. That's just their position groups they go 3 deep at quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end. If you want to count corners and safeties as that too. Yeah, they're loaded there as well, loaded at the linebacker position. And now they're starting to get some big dudes up front.
That's what I wanted you to mention. I wanted you to talk about I'm trying to find him. Mason, right before you came on camera, we were talking about Jeremy Davis. Talk about
Oh,
Jeremy Davis. That's a road grader right there, buddy.
Yeah, no, guys, he looks like a power 4 guard in my opinion already. Like, he's really impressive. He's another one too. Was at Rock Creek, but then they had the merger with Riverdale, and I think he played at Riverdale last year, but he's a beast. You guys saw him too, number 77, and he just made that announcement. He's the first one I saw make the announcement about Riverdale shutting down as well, and so something is up there for sure. But Jeremy Davis, absolute stud. I mean, if they want to play this national schedule, like and they will. I have no doubt that Coach O won't get these guys, but he's 6'3", 330 pounds. They're going to get kids like him.
330 pounds. They say you don't walk with Jeremy Davis, you walk among him.
There it is.
That's what they say. That's what they say. Look, that's a monster of a man right there. And now, you're Cash Carter, you got him protecting you.
Yeah.
And that's just going to bring more guys. You know how that works. You got that receiving group. Yeah, that's going to be a problem. Now, the one thing that I've been wondering.
Offers, just so you know.
Go ahead, say that again.
Sorry, Davis has a mess of offers from Toledo, Syracuse. What is this? Marshall, just going through his Twitter now. Temple. Yeah, he's legit.
Yeah. And you just wonder, this kind of opens the door now. Like, what now? Is there going to be just even more talent coming through?
Yeah.
And I do wonder, because to me, the one guy that was irreplaceable last year, and in the last few years for Dio's offenses was his nephew, right? I mean, Jeffrey Oakton was one of the best players, if not the best player in the state of Virginia. And, a lot of his offense was kind of designed to kind of work, through his nephew. And that was the one. And I'm wondering now, are they going to go with this committee? Because look, right now, they got a solid committee there. Or, who knows? Does Walter Payton, show up and well, not Walter Payton, but you know what I mean, damn it.
No.
I was a sweetness guy. I love sweetness. But does LaDainian Tomlinson show up there out of retirement and say, hey, I'm gonna run the ball here too? I mean, who knows?
Yeah, I really think they'll go back by committee. I could see that them running whoever has the hot hand too in certain games, certain weeks. I mean, it's going to be tricky because he's gotten really deep at all of his position groups. Now he'll need to get deep at his O-line group and his D-line group, which he's starting to do, with Davis and a few other names he's already starting to get in, and we're only in June. But yeah, in terms of I think they'll go back by committee, but who knows?
Man, it's talent brings talent, right? So, now what? But kudos to them. And I'll say this: if you're in Northern Virginia, and maybe not Maryland, but if you're in Northern Virginia, if you're a coach in Northern Virginia, at almost anywhere, I think that's good. This is good for Virginia football.
Agreed.
It's bringing eyeballs. It's people are watching. And if they can get ranked, if they do their thing, whether it be this year or in the next several years, and they become a nationally ranked team, that's great for Virginia football. It's bringing eyeballs to our state.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
no,
I agree. I think that's what their goal is too. And they have the facilities there. You guys know St. James is beautiful, and everybody when they go there is just blown away too. So it's becoming an easy sell too. I mean, you walk into St. James and you have that beautiful cafe. You have the beautiful gym, the big indoor football field. They have the hockey rink. They have the basketball courts, the swimming pool. It's going to be but like that, I was texting the other night. These last couple of years in Northern Virginia, you're absolutely right. They've been, from a scout's point of view, blast.
So I think maybe I want to switch gears a little bit and hear a little bit because I know you went to the Flint Hill 7-on-7. What were your takeaways from that? What'd you see? Anyone impress you?
Yeah. So I went to the one 2 weeks ago. I couldn't go to the one yesterday. My school had an open house, but 2 weeks ago, Flint Hill, the host team, which they're all, if you guys have been there too, it's a beautiful facility, such a unique experience. I highly recommend if you ever have a chance, if you're in Northern Virginia, to check out the Flint Hill football game just because of the setting.
Nice bleacher seats, huh?
It's beautiful, and
is.
they play a big, a private league schedule, so they play the big dogs as well. But what I got from my experience is that Flint Hill I think they're in for a nice rebuild this year. They struggled last year with a bunch of injuries up front, but they got a bunch of kids back. And Ty Harris, he was the best football player on the field 2 weeks ago. He's going to be a Division I football player. He already has a Maryland and a Maine offer. He was open 24/7 when I saw him 2 weeks ago.
Anyone else stand to you? I mean, were there any other teams that you watched or?
Yeah, so I watched them. Loudon, I tell you what, Loudon Sports Academy. I text Dash. I think I texted you that day. I really like what they're doing there too. I think, Coach Woods is going to surprise some people this year. I've been a big fan of his for a couple years now, and he brought, I think, most of his kids from Virginia Academy with him to LSA, and they looked very impressive. They were going back and forth with Flint Hill too. Not many other teams were there that day. But again, I like the stuff I'm seeing out of Wakefield. I'm liking the vibes I'm seeing out of them.
Yeah, Wakefield. Talk about Wakefield a little bit. They're running the Henderson offense.
They just look a lot more organized than a year ago. That's what I'll say. I like their new quarterback, their skill positions. I love some of the dudes they got up front, including Jeremiah McCray. But Wakefield held their own. Man, it really was 2 weeks ago. It was Flint Hill. It was just good to see them because they really, took it on the chin last year. And I think they're going to have their new sophomore quarterback, Alexander Mahmoud, who I've seen. He's coming to a few of our camps for PrepRedzone. He was slinging the ball really well. But Ty Harris was the best football player 2 weeks ago.
Wow, that's high praise. High praise there. Yeah. Now,
was Madison? I thought Madison was there. Was Madison not there? Or did you not see them?
No, I mean, 2 weeks again. I was more on the main field. I believe they were, but I was on the main. So I saw LSA. I saw Flint Hill, a little bit of Wakefield. I believe not Rockridge. A school in DC was there too, but that was. I wasn't there last week. I plan to get there because I think they're going to be there in the next couple of weeks too, and want to get there one or two more times before they wrap up their 7-on-7s. But I mean, in terms of all the 7-on-7 experiences, and whether it's Garfield, Osmond Park, or Flint Hill, the atmosphere has been great.
Yeah. I'm curious with all these private schools starting to come about, right? I mean, you have the Loudon Sports Academy, now you have St. James. Sounds like Flint Hills, starting to put something together. I mean, what's that going to? I'm curious what that's going to mean for the northern region, right? Between region B and C. Like, are you going to start to see, the schools start to get I'm going to say a little worse, but are you going to start seeing talent going to these private schools? 'Cause I don't know what the private school looks like down south, right? I'm unfamiliar. I don't know if you guys might be able to speak a little bit on there. If they lose a lot to privates, or or do those kids stay in the public schools? I know they have open districts and stuff like that, but I'm curious what that's going to mean for, just as far as football in region B and C. If you start having these private schools start to gobble up, some of the blue chip talent.
Well, I'll say this. You're basically saying, are some of these Loudon Academy, St. James Academy, et cetera, are they going to impact, Northern Virginia public schools? I mean, that's essentially what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm going to say no.
Okay.
All in all. Now, will there be, the occasional guy we talked about, the Thompson twins leaving Westfield, and going over to St. James? Now, will there be, some cases like that? Sure, of course. And that was always a case, right? Whether it was going to be O'Connell or have some kids go to Flint Hill. I do not think you're going to have, because I think it's so rare for almost any area to have blue chippers to the level of the guys that are now coming into a St. James. Mm-hmm. That I don't think, I mean, let's be honest. How many guys, the guys we just rattled off with all these offers and everything else, how many guys in the last several years in Northern Virginia public schools have been those kind of guys. At Rojas, right? There's one.
Tristan Lee.
Tristan Lee, the lineman. Maybe from Madison last year, maybe Dominic Nicely. You're naming three. Like
Ty Jackson.
Who's that?
Jackson from. Are you talking about kids that stayed at public schools or like what?
Just in general, like blue chipper guys that have been at the public schools over the last several years. Yeah, that have stayed.
Yeah.
Right. And Jackson's on his way. Right, he's on his way.
Right.
So I don't think there's that many guys to begin with. A and B, I don't think you're going to see that many guys going. I don't. Will some go? Sure. But I don't think it's going to be some crazy because whether it was St. James or Loudon, we're an area here that's got a ton of private schools, and so it was whatever was going to happen was happening anyway.
Most of them are not football focused, right? I mean, Bishop O'Connell's not focused on kind of building.
Well, the DC and Maryland ones.
DC and Maryland are you're right about that. But I'm just saying. But if you want to try to make it to there, you've got to actually kind of you've got to want to go to those places as opposed to a school that's in. What is St. James in Springfield? Is that where it's at?
It's in Springfield.
Yeah.
So it's right there. So I was just throwing out what that.
It's a good question. No, it's a good question. I don't think it'll make that much of an impact overall. Overall,
to be honest with you,
again, guys getting plucked here and there, sure.
Yeah,
but other than that, I don't think.
I agree with what Dash is saying. Honestly, if these schools popped up in my hometown, Lancaster, then I would think it would. Yeah, then the kids would be getting picked out left and right. But Northern Virginia, you guys know this too. The talent's already there. Like Tony Rojas is Penn State's starting linebacker. He played at Fairfax. Noah Glover playing at Battlefield right now is one of my top ranked kids. He has 10 plus offers. The colleges come to Northern Virginia regardless.
I forgot we didn't name some of the Battlefield guys too. So when I was just naming blue chippers top of my head, I didn't name Woodson at DB last year going to Pitt.
Or the Binkowski brothers.
Right. So so those dudes, and I don't think it's going to impact those guys. Those guys could have gone to private schools. They could have played at. If you're going to go to Pitt, you could probably play at DeMatha or Gonzaga, and chose not to. So I don't think it's going to make an impact, but it will impact sometimes. Look, if you're, I'm sure Westfield wasn't thrilled to lose, two really good receivers.
Yeah.
So it will impact some, but I don't think it's going to be this over. Teams are going to be just run out of guys because St. James took them all. And now if you're Maryland, if you're a Maryland prep school, you better worry though. Better worry.
Well, I'm not saying as far as running out of guys, but what is there going to be a talent disparity between the two southern regions and against the two northern regions in 6A? Do you know what I mean? I wasn't talking about like them just running out of guys. I'm just saying, will that impact what the makeup of the northern region? That's all. We'll see. I don't know. I'm just.
Well, I think the next one that might need to worry as St. James kind of goes is the southern regions. I think if they figure out housing, when they figure out the housing thing,
that's a good point.
And St. James has been putting these pictures of I thought I saw a bus, right? When they get in that bus and they drive down to Virginia Beach and they start bringing kids up. And they figure out this whole housing. They got to figure that out maybe a year, 2-3 years away. But now, if I'm some of those places down there, I start to worry.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
even parts of the Carolinas too. Could impact there. That's a good point.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Well, speaking of 7-on-7s, I know you told the Flint Hill. We got some big ones coming up this week. We got June 7th. We have. Thomas Jefferson's hosting one, which is kind of cool. TJ hosting a 7-on-7. I like that.
Oh yeah, you're right. Awesome. That is the 7th, and then Oakton, the big one on the 14th.
Yeah, and then the mega. That's a huge one. That's a battle. That's an old fashioned Royal Rumble battle royale.
Heck yeah. The Thomas
40
Jefferson.
men in the ring. Only one man survives. I love it.
Is it 40 teams? How many teams is it?
It's something
A
like
lot.
that.
It's
yeah,
a lot.
I think it's upwards of almost 40.
It's a lot of
Yeah.
teams.
One point I told you guys to think on this too. When I saw him coach Slay at Osborne Park, I think he was joking. He's like, "Man, we got 100 schools there, or 100 teams.
Wow.
40 sounds about right. I mean, between 40 and 100, regardless, that's going to be a fun day. But I'm glad you reminded me of the Thomas Jefferson one too, because the coach had sent me a message about that as well. What time is that one next week?
I think it's in the morning. They usually start in the morning because they got to worry about they don't want to get stormed out in the afternoon and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's good. These schools are doing it. I hope they, like we talked about that. I hope they're taking Garfield and Osborne Park's methods. Where everything was run smoothly. There wasn't any extracurricular activities. Parents, players were keeping their cool. I hope they take notes from those two.
Yeah, they'll take notes, and if they're going to take notes, they can rewind a few episodes back. Right? Is that correct, Coach Mesa?
That is correct. It's like the coaches at Garfield.
That's right. I believe it was the interview with Coach Aziz, was it not?
Yeah, it was there with Coach Aziz.
Because Aziz talked about. I mean, Aziz could run a 7-on-7 with his eyes closed, and he kind of talked about some of the do's and don'ts and things that kind of worked and things that didn't over the years when he was running them. So, because I don't know if TJ's run one before. I can't really my memory. I don't know what I had for dinner last night. And I know Oakton has run it before, but it's been a while since.
Oh, why do you know that one?
Coach Morgan ran it at Oakton. So
he did, but it's been a while since it was this big. Now,
the one they had in 2023 was big.
Or 22, maybe.
22.
Because by the time we saw 20, by the time 24 came around, it was like 8 teams. It was small.
Yeah, it was small for sure. Also,
and it was later. It was also later in June. And people start fading out. They don't want to do those anymore. You don't want to get someone hurt at a 7-on-7. You got to knock that out early.
Yeah. Also this weekend, the Commanders high school flag football camp at a good old CG Woodson.
The girls flag, the girl. It look coming to a high school near you, girls flag football, and you better get ready because they're going to have. I'm telling you right now, in the next 3 years, guaranteed they're going to have the PrepRedzone. Girls, they're going to be evaluating the girls thing. It's going to be a thing.
That class. I'll be happy to do it.
Right, groundbreaking. Right, groundbreaking.
Yeah. And at last count, over 100 girls to sign up for it, or over 100 high school girls to sign up for it at last count.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wait, does this tournament happen or is it coming up?
It's June 7th, so it's the morning.
So that's
it's the morning of the.
Excellent.
So we were thinking about doing that, covering a little bit of that, and then heading out to TJ, and then doing that. So a little double header, and then I'm going to end it with Paul Simon playing a little Julio down by the schoolyard later that evening at Wolf Trap. I got the trifecta going on that day.
You had quite the day. Here I was thinking I had quite the day because I'm heading out to my family beach trip after the Thomas Jefferson 7-on-7, but you got me beat, Coach. You got me beat.
Well, beach trip could be fun. Now, and you're going to be driving in with traffic on that one, so that could be kind of a rough one. But you can listen to the podcast. You can listen to old episodes.
Yeah, there we go. I want to listen to my debut episode. I think that was your highest rated one. So
yes, sir. Now I'm going to say this though. A couple things. We will. We're going to try and do a show after the girls' flag event and kind of highlight some of that. We've even we interviewed Tom Horn a couple weeks ago, and who knows, maybe we get lucky and we reached out to try and get Dr. Reed on the show, and maybe we can get the superintendent of Fairfax County Public Schools to talk about kind of her vision for girls' flag. So that's kind of what we're hoping for there. And then we'll revisit the flag the 7-on-7s, talk about TJ and talk about Oakton. So busy a few weeks ahead.
Yeah.
Going to be
fun times
stuff.
ahead.
Yeah, fun stuff. What beach you going to, Carl?
Wildwood. It's always Wildwood, New Jersey. Old school. I like the small town vibes I get when I go to Wildwood.
I don't know. I'm not familiar with the Wildwood. Is that like the Jersey Shore beaches? What is that?
Yeah, I mean it's not like where like you saw that show and Mike the Situation doing fist pumps. It's not like that. It's more of a family setting. It's about, I want to say, like, you ever been to Ocean City, New Jersey?
I know of it.
Yeah, it's a suburb of Stone Harbor and Avalon. If you've heard of them, it's kind of like in between there. Yeah,
That's not too far from the college, from Monmouth,
Yeah.
Monmouth University.
Monmouth is, where was that? My cousin.
Monmouth University is
No, I know.
somewhere in the
Oceanport, New
Jersey Shore. Now, where, I don't know that area that well. So
yeah, that's Oceanport, New Jersey. That's a different direction, but it is beautiful.
but that's Jersey Shore though area. Like you said, it's not the downtown like where
Yeah.
Mike the Situation was getting hammered. It's not that spot, but it's
No. No, it is
we,
legit football though, and it's a beautiful campus.
it is legit football, and like I said, Nova players have gone there and done really well.
Yeah.
So
No, it's good times ahead. I mean, I'm excited for this upcoming season. Excited, how this new look with St. James and how these other schools adjust to them. It's, bringing eyeballs. And if last year's any indication, get your popcorn ready. Just leave it on that cheesy quote.
No, you're right. So many storylines for next year. I've said it numerous times on here. I can't wait for the July, kind of end of July episodes to kind of, as we start primering up the season. I can't wait to start talking about these storylines because there's some good ones all across both regions, private schools. I mean, there's storylines everywhere. I mean, speaking of which, just saw, and we are making our debut into Loudoun County, right? Not everyone knows this. We've kind of talked a little bit about it. Tuscarora is one of the schools we'll be covering a little bit. And they just made a couple coaching hires. And they just hired one, Derek Law, who was at Herndon for a couple of years. Well, guess who Tuscarora plays in week 1?
Herndon?
They play Herndon. I talked to Coach Richards a couple of days ago, and I said that is the Law Bowl in week 1. So
wow, that's a fun week 1 game.
It is a fun week 1 game, and talk about Herndon. I mean, you're not playing cupcakes anymore, right? Like Herndon said, all right, we're on the map now, so we're going to go and play. A tough schedule.
Well, and their 4x4 format, where the only thing that counts are your league games, means you can take on Goliath, right?
Right.
And you don't have to. Wow. You can really kind of get yourself ready for league play, right?
Right.
Yeah. No, that's just true. Gonna ask you guys, why did Josh schedule them? But that's a good point, Coach Mesa.
Yeah.
It's the mindset you see in other sports, right? Where, okay, whatever, at a conference, I don't care. I just want to get my team ready for the playoffs, right?
Yeah. Good point. And Herndon's got some dudes coming. I know they graduated a lot last year, but they got some studs coming back. That might be my week 1 matchup. I haven't decided yet.
Ooh, look at that. See, I'm telling you, tons of matchups. So I can't wait to talk about it. But in the meantime, we got TJ, we got girls flag, we got a loaded week coming up, guys. So it's going to be fun, kind of getting into it.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, good times as always.
Yeah. So
let's do this again.
June. I told you once June hits, I feel like it's football season. I feel like once June hits, I feel like it's already here.
And you got your Niners hat on?
I do have my Niners hat.
You're ready to go, buddy.
Hey, thanks for taking Bryce Huff, by the way. We really appreciate it. Nice trade.
For a day 3 pick, I'll take a. And you guys pay half his salary
too.
You guys pay half his salary.
Yeah, but he helped us with that Super Bowl too. He was on the bench, but he could start for you guys. You guys need it.
Yeah, we're gonna settle this on the field, buddy. You guys play each other this year?
Did we? No.
Well, the Raiders play Philly though.
The last time we played you guys, it didn't turn out too well before you did it. What's the score? I can't remember the score, but it didn't turn out too well for you guys, did it?
That game didn't count. It was 2 years ago.
You got to show the ring, Carl. You got to show the ring, man. That's all. I know. You guys got the ring.
Parade photos.
They had a ring once too. The Niners got a ring. Went back when Montana and Steve Young were there.
5 of them. You got 5 of them. I got
been a long time, buddy.
Went 5.
A long time since they
played 7.
Man,
a long time since the Montana Steve Young days, buddy.
Holy cow! You got Brock Purdy now for the next 10 years, whatever that contract is.
I think it's 5. I think it's 5 years.
Oh, that's great. 5 years. 5 years too many. All right. Well, look, we're going to continue this. We got all fall to talk, trash talk, NFL stuff. Well, look, from Carl, Frederick, the Adam Schefter of NoVA, from Coach Mesa and Coach Dash, we'll see you guys next time on All Hitches.
See ya.
See you, gentlemen.